Hi, this is Evan from enlightenedworkshops.com. In my previous two videos, I talked about how miserably depressed I was and how I sort of broke out of that by surrendering to that energy and stopping the fight. And then in my last video, I talked about how some of that energy many years later is returning and how that's okay and how I'm working with it today, which is very different than before, just how I've really learned these lessons of surrender. And then going deeper with it, seeing what's really underneath these feelings. Um, and in this video, what I want to do is I want to show you how I sit with these feelings and how I dissipate that energy, how I invite it in and then allow the whole system to relax. And thereby, like it says in the big book, cease fighting anything or anyone, how that creates more freedom in my life. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. In this video, I will be using and referring to this sort of emotional blocks map that I made. And if this is something that you're interested in, if it looks attractive to you as a way to keep track of your different parts, I recommend it. There'll be a link in the description below, and you can sign up for a free account on mindomo.com. Won't cost you anything. And then there will also be a link to download my file here, which you can create a copy of, and you can start creating your own maps to help you see and keep track of the what feelings are underneath these tough feelings that you're having, these symptoms of depression or whatever it is. Um, okay, well, okay, without any further ado, let's jump into it here. So, like I said last week, I talked about these feelings that I had of depression, sadness, um, and that these were being caused by this notion of I'm not doing enough with my life, I'm not being enough, doing enough, etc. And then as I dug down, I started to see that these feelings it's because nobody loves me. And just as a hint, most of the stuff on the surface and these outside rings are the more surfacey ones. That's where all the pain and the suffering is. Once you get down to here, these are the real pain. But what starts to happen when you start to deal with these and you're not up here fighting with these, you're accepting these difficult feelings, is the energy starts to go out of the balloon. The air starts to go out of the balloon, and the energy starts to dissipate, and these symptoms start to wane. So how do I sit with and how do I be with nobody loves me? Well, the way that I do it is as I start to get down to this feeling, I start to locate it in my body. So for right now, it's in my chest. It's like, okay, there's this hurt, this sort of heartbreak in my chest. And I try to breathe into that. And it's very important to get down into your body. A lot of times these feelings feel amorphous, but we're always feeling them somewhere. And the more that we feel them practically, like in our body, the more that um, makes it real and tangible, and it starts getting it out of this negative fantasy, and we can start to be with what is. So, okay, so there's this heartache, and now I'm feeling that there's also this fear. There's this fear that nobody loves me. There's this fear that I'm going to be all alone all the time with nobody there to protect me. And so I'm scared. I'm terrified. And so I breathe into that feeling. There's a sharpness in my chest. And so I breathe into that. And I let the part know it's like, it's okay that you're here. It's okay to feel this. And this is what we didn't get as kids. And that's what this energy is. It's a little kid energy that never got the love and attention and never had anybody who was present enough to be there and let us know that this was okay. And it was okay to have this feeling. So I'm breathing into this. I'm breathing into nobody loves me. And as you'll see here on the map here, there are thoughts. The blue parts, the colored circle parts are the parts, the energy blocks. And all these little white boxes are the thoughts that are attached to nobody loves me. I'm unlovable. No one could ever love me. No one cares if I live or die. And that's very painful for this child. So being with the child that's in pain that says, no one cares if I live or die, that's a pain for a child that's almost unimaginable. And it's like, it's very challenging to sit with. But that's the spiritual alchemy that turns lead into gold, that turns suffering into healing. Because as I bring God into this and I'm sitting with it and I'm just feeling it, I start to get more space around it. And this takes time, and it takes many sessions of this. But each time I do it, there's a little bit more freedom that's created. And as I sit with this, I realize there's something underneath it. Why does nobody love me? Well, because I'm the worst. I'm the most terrible, and I'm the most awful. We did a relationship workshop today, and in the relationship workshop, the main thing we got to see is that the child always feels like it's their fault. So it's like, nobody loves me because I'm not good enough. Had I been good enough, I would have got the love, but it's because I'm bad and I'm wrong. So as you can see, I'm allowing this feeling to come up, and I'm giving it space, and I'm breathing into it. And what happens over time is you start to become the loving consciousness that holds the feeling instead of being identified with the feeling. That's where the real pain is. It's not that we have the feelings, it's that we think we are the feelings. And I can just sit with, and I can be with the energy. I can feel it in my body. It's like this complete surge of adrenaline in my chest. Nobody wants me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares if I live or die. And that's such a painful thing for that part. And as I'm with it, that's bringing God in, and God's starting to heal that. And then at a certain point, there's going to be a little bit of a breaking, a little bit of a breath that comes in. And it's like, okay, that's a wave. And that's a good place to stop. It's a good place to stop with that wave, and then come back and revisit it tomorrow. But, just so you know, it's not, I have a lot of freedom in my life because I've been lucky enough to see this process and see that none of these feelings are going to kill me, and I can sit with them. And the more I sit with them, the more freedom it creates, and it creates this positive spiral. A lot of us are familiar with this negative spiral of addiction, but there's a positive spiral too. It's that when you're sitting with this pain, it creates space, and that space now allows you to sit with deeper pain, which then creates more space. And the net result is you get connected to who you really are. You get connected to that peace and freedom that's the real you, right? And so, I teach pickleball, I play pickleball. There's no real joy or fulfillment that's going to happen in pickleball, right? Because it's just a means to an end. I'm going to play pickleball. That's not going to complete me. That's not true with this work. With this work is I reclaim myself. I reclaim who I really am. And I get to keep that. And there's nothing that's fulfilling like that sense of who I really am and that love and peace that's inside of me. And this is the process that I use on a daily basis to break free of all that pain and all that suffering, and to have it be a small part of me. And the bigger part of me is that loving consciousness. So I hope that's helpful to you. And I hope that you can start to use that in your daily process. And if you want more tools and more ways, you can visit us at Enlighten Workshops or find more of these YouTube videos on here. And I'll try to do, if there's comments, I'll show you how to do this mapping sort of technology. If that interests you, please let me know. Okay, have a great one, and I hope you're well. Don't forget how amazing you are. Cheers.